DG Caps, Air Marshal Anil Chopra, Air Chief Marshal Krishna Swamy, mentors, distinguished guests, colleagues, and dignitaries. Jai Hind. At the outset, I'd like to thank CAPS for inviting me to be part of this prestigious and seminal seminar and deliver a talk on topical issue of salience of space in the future conflict. I must admit in front of this august gathering that is an extremely challenging task to foretell the future when, with all its might and resources, US military has had a dismal record in correctly forecasting their end state of various conflicts in the recent time. Some have said about them that they were 100% right, 0% time. History remains the best guide in predicting the future, but such prediction would still be more likely be wrong, as both future and the lessons in the war are complicated by fog and uncertainties. Difficulties in anticipating the trend in the future conflict due to unseen and unthought out postulate have humbled many generals, admirals, and air marshals. Clausewitz, famously comparing the characterization of war with chameleon, opined that playing with chances and probability in war prediction would not only be difficult, but also most of the time one could go wrong. For most of us, applying the simple relative strength, like a kind of war by algebra, we would at least ensure requisite capacity for adaptation to the emerging situation and ensure victory or at least stalemate. War is a harsh teacher, but recent conflict points that space, cyberspace, electronic, and cognitive domains would act as a pivotal disruptors. As many things happening now, technology and operational concepts are evolving or remain unexamined or unanswered comprehensively in some of these domains. Before moving to the 6 honest serving man, what, why, when, how, where, and who, I would like to briefly touch upon the genesis and the role of space power and its linkages with air power. This is an endeavor to remove certain misgivings by rendering few facts and figures, and so that the wise ones can make balanced judgment. Humans, having mastered the conventional warfare on the land and the water, started to look up towards the heavens above. This resulted in decisive aerial battle in 1942. The Battle of Midway thus led to birth of USAF in 1947. That was 44 years after the first time human took to the air. And yet, after another 44 years, in 1991, Gulf War I, the space power was born. Whichever country can control the space can control the world. Post this famous articulation by President John F. Kennedy in 1960, exploration, exploitation, and militarization of space commenced. Space confrontation became an open agenda, resulting in Starfish Prime, the largest nuclear weapon into this space, in July 1962, development of co-orbital satellites by Soviets in 1963, ASM-135 ASAT test by F-35 in 1985 under a program called as Air Launch Miniature Vehicle, alongside the Strategic Defense Initiative, popularly known as Star Wars program. In the first space age, from 1957 to 1990, US and the military were responsible for 93% of the satellite launched. Of this, 70% were directly linked to the military. Many wars and operations thereafter have highlighted importance of mastery of air and space as an essential ingredient to achieve victory. As a result, as early as 1971, USAF Basic Doctrine, Air Force Manual 1.1, mandated purposeful action to build space operational capability for success in war. Interestingly, while Air Forces continue to support the growth of space power, the same was lacking for the air power post its birth almost for 50 years. As a result of these supports, space emerged as integral part of aerospace power globally. Moreover, while air power had many strategists even until 1991 Gulf War, from Dewey to John Warden, space have had hardly any strategist. Furthermore, air and space are seamless continuum due to broad similarity, trajectory, defense and surveillance mechanism, and the resident core competency with air power to operate across the domains, the two domains with the emergence of certain technologies. Post start of second space age in Gulf War I of the 42 days war, first 38 days were by operation from the air and space. That is the ultimate high ground. The war proved to be key turning point in the military uses of space as it played major role in conventional war. USAF General Merrill McPick called this war as the first space war. OODA loop was shortened, ISR was available in near real time, shared awareness was ensured by space communication, bombs, platforms and the humans alike were guided from the heavens ever. Recent conflicts in Armenia, Ukraine, Gaza all have highlighted criticality of space-enabled ISR, communication, PNT, weather forecasting, C2. For me, these wars and campaigns have strengthened the wings of air power and given the true space for the space warfare in the modern battlefield. With the onset of second space age, the space capabilities got spread to the countries and to the commercial firms. The second space age is more diverse, disruptive, disordered, and dangerous than the first age. From 1991 to 2016, almost half the launches and satellites have been from the entities other than USA and Russia. Since 2014, launches from China, Japan, Europe, and India have been increasing exponentially. Moreover, against the 4% in the first space age, in the second space age, more than 35% of the launches were from the commercial firms. As a result of ensuing competition, most of the launches and the space assets are now well within the reach of most of the nation and even a few non-state entities. Orbital maintenance, manufacturing, asteroid mining, interorbital transfer, space gateways, stations, reusable and the winged platforms, space traffic management, space rescue operation, etc. are becoming reality and necessity. Technologies like winged platforms, hybrid electrical and nuclear propulsions, deep space positioning system, or a pulsar navigation akin to GNSS along with the technology I just mentioned earlier, would ensure seamless operation between air and space, making common line irrelevant, and thus usher in the maneuver warfare in the cislunar as well as near and outer space. Now moving on to the adversaries, space capabilities and the doctrine, we shall only examine those of the northern adversary as capabilities of Pakistan appear to be contingent to those of China. The 20th Party Congress report focused on strengthening system of strategic deterrence, which enhanced emphasis on cyber and space, resulting in accelerated modernization, expansion, diversification, reorganization, and enhancement of proficiencies. PLA views space superiority as an ability to control space-enabled information sphere and deny adversary their own space-based information gathering and communication capabilities as a critical component in conducting modern cognitive warfare. China also continues to invest heavily in counter space and reconstitution or the sustenance of capabilities apart from the human flight and space exploration to harvest minerals. Kinetic kill missiles, ground-based lasers, co-orbitals, stratospheric airship, space-based SSA, satellite proliferation, diversification of orbital planes and the location, and robust tactical responsive space launch, that is launch on demand, are being acquired by China in the large number to deter and counter regional intervention. They also suggest that ISR communication, PNT and early warning satellite would be among the first target to make enemy blind and deaf. Military civil fusion has greatly strengthened the civilian as well as military segment of their satellite to make space architecture highly resilient. 2019 Defense White Paper clearly laid emphasis on safeguarding PLA's interest in outer space, electronic warfare, and cyberspace. Moving on to a little bit on the operation, everyone looks at the sky in the same manner, but for the people in the blue, it is a little different. It is beyond threat and challenges. It offers abundance of opportunity to us. Despite space being a global common and India being committed to its peaceful use, our adversaries have other interests as covered earlier. In keeping with the rapid transformation in warfare technologies and consequences of adversary space trajectory, the recent IF doctrine articulates increasing exploitation of space in all operations, making it common enabler. As per one of the study, the UK claims that 90% of their military operations are in some or the other manner linked to the space. In addition to classical dependence on space, towards ISR, PNT communication and weather forecast, space-enabled SSA missile defense and C2 are not only supporting air operation, but also land and maritime operation. Due to rapid advancement and proliferation, we must follow 4 principles to prevail on adversary in terms of building up our capability. That is scale, scope, speed, and survivability, so that we retain little edge in space domain. Fundamental principles, doctrinal beliefs, grand strategy for space warfare is almost same as the warfare in any other domain. Most of the operational and the tactical level activities are almost replication of activities in the air domain. To cite some example, air situation picture replaces the air, space situation picture replaces the air situation picture. Offensive counter air, offensive is replaced by offensive counter space. And John Warden 5 rings of COG for the space consist of space leadership in the center, surrounded by communication, TT and C, followed by SSA, space scientists and technologies, and in outer circle being occupied by space weapons, assets, and the launches. These are replacing the standards, leadership, organic, essential infrastructure, population, and fielded forces in the classical COG concept. Some of the possible space strategy could be to disrupt and destroy space system communication, degrade, deny, destroy space sensors, destroy ground segment and the center, and the revisit after 6 to 12 hours to destroy the technical expert who might be working to restore those capabilities. And finally, sweep the space, that is destroy as much as space asset as possible. Requisite defensive action must also be adopted to protect own capabilities along with the regular training. Space operation essentially has the 4 vertical, that is space support, space force enhancement, space control, and space force application, which large number of you would be familiar with. Moving on to a little bit on the space capabilities and the future conflict, while the need for the military satellite was articulated post-Kargil by a group of ministers in 2000, but however in 2012, Naresh Chandra Committee recommended creation of Space Command. Based on the IF's proposal in 2013, eventually DSA was raised along with DSP in 2019. Unlike any other country where space-based operation falls under the grand umbrella of Air and Space Force, in India it is currently under headquarter IDS with 4 verticals, that is Space Force Enhancements, Space Control, R&D and QRM, and Administration, HR and Financial Planning. In addition to existing asset, Major activities towards capability building are SBS-3 for ISR, Samoa for ELINT, and a few communication satellite. However, the major capability boost would be through 75 mission depth space challenges and a few of the open IDEX challenges and the spin-off thereof. Nevertheless, space being dual in nature, the large number of initiatives are underway ISRO, which would add to the defense capabilities, including SSA, civilian satellites, human flights, space stations, and in Indian on the moon. Some of the basic and the broad capabilities which are being envisaged and progressed and captured in the vision documents are multi-band diverse ISR sensors based constellation for persistent surveillance, omnipresent sovereign cloud through SATCOM for shared awareness, sovereign PNT NAVIC guidance for system platforms, weapons, and human space weather, launch on demand through SSLV and RLV, SSA, SSN, missile surveillance and debris management, offensive capabilities like cyber, directed energy weapon, direct ascent, SAT, jamming, co-orbital throwing of chemicals, OMR and inter-orbital transfers. Defensive capabilities for enhanced survivability includes reconstitution, near space exploitation, human space flight, space rescue services, and space station. Human-centric sustainable habitat in low gravity, space manufacturing, and bioengineering. Influence of space power on modern warfare is rising with which necessitate command of space. But space being secondary theater, it would struggle for the resources unless its act in the space contribute at strategic level to meet the political goals on the ground. Therefore, command of space must serve terrestrial political goal, much like air power. Currently, space power is infrastructure in nature, but with a technological advancement, it would become platform-centric in nature. And thereafter merge with air power to evolve into combat space power, aerospace power. Thus evolving maneuver warfare would involve seamless movement across the orbits which currently act as a cosmic border. Celestial line of communication utilizing space capability would continue to be the choke point. Nevertheless, in short to medium term, bulk of space power or warfare would involve deployment, use, and the management of satellite and their services and the data. Speaking in maritime terms, space exploration and the operation would continue to be in coastal in nature rather than being blue oceanic water. However, as it becomes oceanic in nature, air warriors and the space guardian would merge into one. A little bit on space diplomacy. China BRI Space Information Corridor connects Africa and Eurasia with BDS providing PNT both to civilian and the military.
Ranjan, you'll have to hurry up.
Yes, sir. Last 2 minutes, sir. They have also offered S&T Corporation financing, launched a satellite and constructed ground station. Indian military with ISRO, DRDO, academia, industry must jointly evolve a strategy and the roadmap for enhanced technological, operational, and technical cooperation with the Global South for their growth and security, apart from partnering with Western countries for our own accelerated space growth. In conclusion, I would like to say, future may throw an entirely new scenario. However, the space is the final frontier which must not be crossed only but also guarded. One needs to be aware of contextual fallacies and prepare for a war anticipated for tomorrow and not what we see today. And as what you observe does not reflect on what you do not see. Indian Armed Forces must understand that one who controls the space not only controls the battlefield or the earth, but also controls the 21st century. Thank you.